I'll tell you guys what I told the team, which is that winning is boring, and like to win, you have to be willing to do simple things over and over and over and over and over again for 48 minutes, and that can become repetitive and frankly boring at times, and not break off the path. Not every possession is set up for you. Not every game is set up for you. Sometimes your responsibility is just to catch it and move it to the next guy quickly to maintain the advantage on the offensive side. Defensively, sometimes your job is to sacrifice your body. Sometimes your job is to be physical in the post. Sometimes your job is to scramble for a teammate who has made a mistake. But winning's boring, and we're trying to build the habits and the ability to do the little things over and over and over again, because the team is showing the ability to do the little things. We're just not doing them consistently enough. And we still have these little windows of the game that turn into kind of like a little disaster. The last 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes of the first half into the first 2.5 minutes of the second half, that 4 to 5 minute window is really where the game was decided. It went from like a 4 point game to 17. That's a good team we just played. I said this pregame, they test your execution every possession, and they test it for the entirety of the shot clock. That's a group that's been together for a while. The core of the team and their coach, they've won a championship together. Like, they are a well-oiled machine. And so those games are really good for our group, because you do get tested on little things over and over and over again. And when you make a mistake, they make you pay. But I do think that the team is showing pockets of good play. I am happy with a lot of the young players and their growth, not just in their physical ability, but in their understanding. I think sometimes the results can skew us on what we think is happening, but I'm as critical and hard on our players as anybody, and I do see growth in the young guys. Tonight, obviously, it's tough when you're missing a bunch of our sort of key players that we're used to playing off of, but tomorrow will be a good day of rest for everybody with their families, and we'll be back to work Friday.
When you talk about Oscar as his first time playing minutes with you guys, and obviously we all wanted to see him on the court at some point. What did you like him tonight?
Oh, man. I love everything about Oscar. He's, man, he just makes you feel good. He's such a good human being. I wish I was more like Oscar. He plays so hard. He's relentless on the glass. His physicality is great. Tonight was a hard game for him because he didn't, we pulled him out of Stars practice midway through practice. It wasn't like this was something he had a ton of time to prepare for. And so there's some play calls that we've put in recently that he hasn't been exposed to yet. And so there were some moments of chaos that were to be expected. But I just love his willingness to do the dirty work. Crashes every time, blocks out every time, is a physical player on both sides of the ball. I think the rebounding speaks for itself. Like, his rebounding rate is pretty crazy. His stats in the G League are out of control. And to come in here and get 9 rebounds in 15 minutes, I mean, that is his gift, is his ability to track the ball. So we obviously need to get him up to speed on some of the offensive play calls and things like that. But today and the way it all unfolded with some of the injuries and stuff was not set up in any way for Oscar to be successful from that standpoint. But I think his competitiveness is great.
What is it that makes you say, like, when I say his name, you smile, and you're like, I love everything about him. What is it?
I mean, have you met Oscar?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's like the sweetest human being of all time. And then he plays in the game, and he's one of the most physical people you've ever been around. Like, yeah, I don't know. He just like smiles and gives you a hug, makes you feel good. Yeah, he's hard. He's hard not to like.
No, I have to ask about the bad parts, but
No one was expecting that.
why do you think it is that the team goes away from what's successful in the good parts? Is it that they're looking for their box score stats? Is it that they find a matchup they want to attack? Like, what is it that turns that?
Yeah, I think it would be tough to say they're like chasing the box score stats. I do think there is an element of, oh, I'm going off right now. I've made a few in a row, and like you feel good, but you sort of lose track of why. So yes, you've made a few shots in a row, but it's because of the reads you were making. You know, like an example from last game would be Bryce, and Bryce has played great. I'm not trying to pick on Bryce, but he gets a couple of threes making reads, sitting in the pocket on handoffs, coming off some off ball, makes a few, and then goes to play one-on-one versus Chris Paul. And it's like, that's not why you were going well. And so it's, I think it's like the natural human piece of it starts to feel good. And so then you're kind of just like riding the wave of emotion, and you're just in those moments sort of like hooping. You're not executing anymore, and we lose track of what has gotten us those shots. That's not unexpected with young players. It's something that I've seen with young players my entire time in the NBA is you do lose focus on what has gotten you there. You know, and then times when you're playing with a lot of young players together, there isn't that steadying force that can say like, hey, whoa, calm down. Like, we need to get to this, or give me the ball and you guys play off of me. And so it's a collective thing. It happens in practice. Like, it doesn't just happen in the games. It's like it starts going well, you make a few, and you just kind of you lose the sense of why. But that's what we're here for, is to continue to like show them and teach them those things. And then it's, you know, on them to build the collective awareness and the ability to, you know, we don't all lose the plot, but if you or two of us lose the plot, our teammates and everybody have to try to pull you back in and say like, hey, let's get back to what's been working for us.
When you see a team that plays offense as five like Denver does, is there any value of showing some of those possessions to your guys, you know, in film sessions or, you know, afterwards?
The clips of what?
If you see a team that plays offense as five, like Denver does, is there any value in showing some of those possessions to your guys?
I think there's elements. The element that I appreciate the most about Denver is that they just work the clock. They're not going to take the first okay shot they can find. Like, they just grind you down and wait for you to make a massive blunder, and they get an open one, usually a layup or an open three. I do recognize that part of it is hard to simulate because they're the only team on earth that has Jokic. So I think there's like a tone piece of it or a big picture piece of it that you can use to educate the team. Some of the specifics of the scheme, they're the only team that can really do that because of him. But their willingness to just keep passing the ball, keep cutting, keep screening for each other, that's what we want to hunt. Because they do just wear you down. Like, it's exhausting playing against them because every possession is you have to execute 5 or 6 coverages right to get a stop. It's not just like you execute one coverage correctly and they're going to shoot a bad shot. They don't play that way.
What did you like from Micah tonight?
Micah's super solid. Micah's a really good player. His physicality and rebounding is good. I think he makes quick decisions with the ball. You know, he is pretty good at assembling his feet and getting his catch and shoot off. But I think when he doesn't, he usually just gets to the next action quickly. Sometimes that's him driving it and kicking it to somebody else. Sometimes it's just swinging it across the top and chasing it and going to screen. I think Micah is somebody who knows his strengths at this point in his career, and he doesn't go outside of them very much. He keeps the game pretty simple.
There's a few moments tonight Isaiah finds Walker, and you kind of talked about Isaiah's feel for the game, but what's impressed you this far about how he can feel the game?
To this point, I think Isaiah is our best player at delivering the lob to the fives. Like, he's shown the best timing and feel for that specific play. I think some of our other guards, wings, young perimeter players have gotten much better at seeing the corner. But the timing of that lob, I think Isaiah is probably the best guy on our team at it. He got Walker a couple times tonight. Last game he got John on the roll. Like, it wasn't just the lob and the dunker. It was he came middle and John rolled on the empty pick and roll. That has impressed me a lot, because it's a really valuable skill, because you start punishing fives for over-rotating to the rim. I also think that his passing in transition, like his willingness to get off the ball early, has been a driver of our pace. Like, the game feels faster when Isaiah's in the game, and it's not just because he's a fast runner. He moves the ball quick.
Basketball related, what are you thankful for?
I mean, yeah, this job's crazy. Like, come on. This is not real life. Like, I get to coach basketball every day. I get to be with these guys every day. I love them to death, and they drive me crazy. We're just as dysfunctional as any family. Yeah, I'm just thankful for this whole thing. It's like surreal every day. I haven't gotten used to it. I hope I never do. Yeah, beats having a real job.
Thanks.
Thanks.